right, it is 6:30. We are going to call this meeting to order. All right. Today is Wednesday, November 4th, and this is going to be a combination regular select board meeting as well as a budget meeting. We do have quite a few guests here today in Zoom land as well as in person. All right. And at this point, we will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I got it right this time. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, additions to the agenda. We have been asked by the Fire Department Advisory Committee to meet with them this evening, so we will add that. If we could put that as A under new business. The BDCC is going to be tabled until our next meeting. We also need to put a discussion about reordering pay-as-you-throw bags. Jean has asked us to put a discussion about the giving tree. And I believe that's all that I had there. Give me time, I'll come up with more.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Great. Chair's remarks. We'd like to thank everybody that helped with the election yesterday. I believe it was a record for Vernon as far as turnout. So that was fantastic. And when it was about 2:30, I came through. We had a ton of volunteers here. The parking lot was full of cars. It was really nice to see. So thank you, everybody, for that. At our last select board meeting, we did make a motion that we did not need to go through the petition process for town meeting this year. I just want to clarify that that was for anybody that is running for an elected position does still need to go through the petition process and get their signatures. So I just wanted to clarify that. Guests, we have the Fire Department Advisory Committee here. We have, I'm sorry, your name?
Mine?
Yeah.
I'm Beth Dunkley.
Beth Dunkley, okay. And we have Kevin and Cindy Turnley, and we have Mike Pratt here as well. In Zoom land, we have Gordon Christiansen, we have Maddy Arms, we have Bob Adept, and somebody else waiting to get in. That looks like it's going to be Ken Bloom. All right. Next, department and committee reports. Chief Emery, as the chairman of the Fire Department Advisory, you have drawn the short straw of acting chief of the fire department.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. So I would be looking for an update on the Vernon EMS since we have, they've been back on the road for a couple of weeks now, just kind of an update.
Okay, well, Mr. Chairman, things with the EMS side are going extremely well. I had a conversation today with Lieutenant Pasha, and they feel that things are well. They have not missed a single call. However, there still needs to be, some tweaking of the whole system as the committee gets together. We're going to become more involved with that side of the EMS with the fire department. But other than putting together a whole new way of how they did that, they're doing an excellent job, and we're very proud that they've come back and where they're standing right now. Zach has done a good job. He's on top of it. However, he does also have full-time jobs as everyone else does. So we'll be involved with them even more in the next few weeks to come.
Okay. Zach did tell me that he was not going to be able to attend tonight and that Mr. Pratt would be here in his absence. Would you be opposed to us asking if he had anything to add to that?
No,
sir?
I would encourage that.
Thank you.
So, yeah, like you said, since we had our first call on October 14th, and we've had 16 medical calls since the 14th, and we have been able to respond to all of them. We did have 2 retones due to various things, but we did have people respond to each and every one of them. Right now, we've got 12 EMS providers. 2 of them are on sabbatical down in Florida until spring, and one is out for 3 weeks after surgery, so we've got 9 active providers right now.
Awesome. So anybody that was unable to hear that, Mike Pratt had said that they, since the 14th of October, they've had 16 calls. They have responded to all of them. And currently they have 9 active and responding members. And that is excluding the 2 that are on vacation, the extended vacation?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, do you have anything else to add, or Chief, anybody?
I'm good.
No, good. Just that I think we got a great group right now. We've got some new members on there that got a lot of experience with Rescue Inc. and other departments, and they're an eager, energetic group doing very well.
Awesome. Well, it's great to see you guys down there. Nice to see some lights on in the station. And certainly nice to see the truck rolling around town once in a while. Hey, for driving purposes, not for,
Exactly.
I know that you had some other obligations tonight, so seeing no questions, you are free to go, sir, and I appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Sure, Mike.
Cut in front of this, I guess.
Next, we have Madeline Arms, who is the representative to NDCAP, and we would be looking for an update on what's going on there, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so the last meeting of NDCAP was on September 21st. And next week we have an agenda meeting, which I am attending, that will be a preparation for the meeting on December 7th. At the last meeting, our time was primarily taken up by discussion of the spent fuel, the IFSC pad, and there was great concern that sometime in the past, a document was signed that said that Vermont and the NDCAP would support an interim storage facility. And that interim storage would be a collection of waste and spent fuel from different plants until a storage such as Yucca Mountain could be approved and constructed. So there were a lot of calls from people in New Mexico that didn't want our fuel there, and I can't blame them. And it seems to me that this is taking up an awful lot of our time. We have a spent fuel pad that is well constructed. It's constructed to and above standard for safety and for duration. And I made a statement at the last meeting that said that people in Vernon fully expected that the fuel would be there for the long term. We know that whoever is going to be on the site will be responsible for it, and the town is going to make sure that the NRC and all other parties live up to their agreement. I do have information if people are interested about our spent fuel, the pad, the installation, and I have lots of information about where you can find more educational information so that you can feel, fairly certain that you have a grasp on this whole procedure and the placement of the IFSC pad. The Planning Commission is having a discussion next week about an assessment that is being done with North Star and Antioch. That is a school that is preparing a whole site assessment, and I think you're aware of it, Chris, as well as the rest of the select board. I'm thinking that I'd like to bring the whole IFSC pad and the spent fuel issue to some sort of closure, because I think that our main purpose at NDCAP is to monitor the decommissioning and make sure it's done safely, efficiently, and as quickly as possible, so that this way we can see redevelopment on that site that will make the town a good place to live and have good jobs and actually help our tax roll. I don't know if there's anything else. I'm open to any questions, and certainly I can take information that you request to the NDCAP board and get answers.
Michael?
No.
Sandy?
No, thank you very much.
Jean? Jeff? Maddie, we have no questions, but greatly appreciate the update. Just nice to touch base, and we appreciate you going and giving up your time to be at those meetings, which I am sure are just riveting and filled with excitement up there. So we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, let me know when you need some more information, and I am in contact with Corey and Dave Pearson. Whenever I have questions about what's going on there, I don't hesitate to call them, and they're usually very quick to respond.
Great. Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you. Good night.
You as well. All right, approval of minutes for October 20th and October 21st. Is there any reason we cannot group those together?
Yes.
There is. So we will start with October 20th, please.
That one, I think is okay.
October 20th. Any discussion on the October 20th regular meeting minutes? Motion to accept?
Motion to accept minutes.
I would take a second from Eugene.
Okay, second.
Moved and seconded to accept the October 20th regular meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? October 21st budget meeting, please.
Okay, so the numbers on the planning commission are not right. The Wyndham Regional fee there, we upped it to $53.50.
Oh,
The
yeah.
new budget stuff has that, so the
Okay.
total is different.
Okay. Anything else on that?
No.
Any other discussion on the 21st budget meeting minutes? Seeing none.
I move that we accept the October 20th budget meeting minutes as corrected.
October 21st, please.
21st.
October 21st, we have a motion, a second, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Great. Bills and warrants, please.
Okay. I move that we approve payment of the following warrant. 9T accounts payable, $45,784.45. 42S payroll, $6,151.34. And 43S payroll, $7,112.31.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Perfect. New business. Mr. Emery.
Yes, sir.
Would love to hear the update from you, but suppose that we should go into executive session briefly.
I would ask that if we could go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter, that would be wonderful. And it could be with just me for a short period.
I forgot to bring you your,
It's okay, we're going to executive session to discuss the evaluation or employment of a public official. On VSA 313A.
Second.
moved and seconded to enter executive session with Chief Emery from the Fire Department Advisory Committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are in executive session at 6:45. All right, we went into executive session at 6:45. We came out at 6:59. No action was taken. At this point, Chief Emery, I'd like to turn the floor over to you for your update from the advisory committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce the committee. The committee is here in full staff tonight is Chief Mike McCoskey, Chief Jared Bristol, Marilyn Sherlin, Chris LaFlamme, Alex Dunkley, Jason Boudreau, and of course myself. So we are here in our entirety, and we're here on a very happy and a proud moment to offer you a name for consideration for fire chief. The process that we took was a little bit different than some. We didn't advertise for a fire chief. We felt that given where Vernon was at this time, what we did was we selected people that we thought could handle, and we interviewed people, and did that process that way. So with this, we would like to say to you that we would offer Alex Dunkley to be the next fire chief of the town of Vernon. Alex has a tremendous amount of credentialing. He fits the bill very well. Not only does he live in Vernon, he was born and raised in Vernon, and he's also been a past member of the Vernon Fire Department. Presently, he's a fabrication manager for Renault Brothers. And with that, he does fabrications of steel, miscellaneous metals, responsible for project management. He's done bridge and railroad bridges, road and railway bridges. He also was a live-in firefighter in Windham, Maine, from 2004 to 2009. He responded to EMS and fire calls then. He was an explorer with the Vernon Fire Department, a firefighter, and left at captain in 2009. He was with them from 98 to 2009. He graduated from Brattleboro Union High School in 2002, Southern Maine College in 2007 with an associate's degree in fire science. Also from Southern Maine College, 2008 was a certificate in welding. He's a certified welder in Masson, Vermont. He's proficient with AutoCAD. He can read blueprints, and what really is important, he interprets codes. And the fire service has lots of codes. He was a previous EMT in Maine and Vermont, hazardous material operation, ICS training as well. So with that, we would like again to suggest that Alex be appointed as your fire chief.
Does anybody from the select board have any questions for the advisory committee? Seeing none, would anybody care to make a motion to accept Alex Dunkley as the new Vernon Fire Department fire chief?
Make a motion to accept Alex Dunkley as Town of Vernon's fire chief.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept Alex Dunkley as the new fire chief for the town of Vernon. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Alex, this is amazing. I'm extremely happy about this. I think that the advisory committee has picked the strongest candidate for this. If there's anybody that can rebuild relationships, rebuild the morale, and rebuild that fire department, I have no doubt that that person is you. The fact that your wife is here to support you this evening is incredible. I think that that speaks volumes for what we're getting with you. I look very forward to this moving along. And with that, we have something for you. Jeff, it's over there in that corner if you would. Yep. Alex, I'd like to give you a very shiny chief's hat. Thank you very much. I have hand sanitizer just so I can shake your hand, man. I appreciate it. And here's a plate for you as well. Anything you'd like to say to us or to the town of Vernon?
And I appreciate everybody's support, and just, yeah, no, thank you, and I'm honored to serve.
Thank you very much, Alex. Yes, Chief?
And my last comment is the entire board insisted, they wanted to be here tonight to show Alex that we are also supporting him and we're gonna be with him for a while and we will be there to help him. So the entire group, wanted to be here for you tonight.
Guys, advisory committee, and now our new chief, we tasked you guys with a project that none of us had any idea what this was gonna play out to be. There was a lot of uncertainty, there was a lot of concerns, there was a lot of what ifs. You have met more than the select board meets, which is tough to do because I like to call a lot of special meetings. And you guys have been there, you've been meeting. The forward progression that you have made to make sure that the town of Vernon has a fire department that is well-trained, well cared for, put together properly. You guys have done an amazing job. So from the select board, I want to thank the advisory committee. Thank you. Alex, this select board, I will assure you, will support you, will be here. Reach out anytime. We're excited to have you. Just please don't hesitate. Cindy at some point will get with you, and that way you guys can start out on the right foot. We'll get a credit card at some point so that you can start to do what you need to do down there. And we'll get all of that out of the way. Congratulations. Thank you. All right. Trash bags. Kind of strange way to lead into that. Oh, I have to go back. I'm sorry. I was yelled at for skipping something, which I don't even see on here.
That's not on the agenda.
Yeah, see, that's why. It's not on there. Did you have something you would like to talk about?
I did,
Okay.
I did. And it really segues into trash bag.
Okay, perfect.
Delinquent tax sale. We have 2 properties. Want to do the tax sale on Thursday, December 17th at 1 p.m. and need a representative from the select board.
I'm sorry, the date one more time, please.
17 December,
What time did you say?
1 p.m.
Pretty sure the post office will be
I gotcha. Will you talk to me when that gets closer? I've got you in the calendar, though.
Okay. Why don't you have somebody that represents the town?
Okay. Gives me a reason to take a day off from work. I love it.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's it.
Awesome. And now into trash bags. That is a much better segue. I like that. Cindy had approached us last week to inform us that the number or the inventory for the large trash bags was dwindling, and last time it took, I believe you said 6 months for those to come in. 4 to 6 months. So her suggestion was that we order some more. And how are we on the small bags?
We have 41 cases when Jean and I went over to count. We have 41 cases of small, and we haven't ordered small in a while. So they're not big sellers as compared to the large. The large, we had 25 cases. I know Tim has taken some out since Jean and I were over there counting.
Okay. Is there a way that, how many cases of small bags have we gone through in the last 6 months?
Of small,
Yeah.
I would have to go back and look.
Roughly, I mean, are we talking 2 cases or are we talking
Oh, no,
20
more than that.
cases? Okay,
Maybe 5 or 7
And small?
of the small.
of the small.
I'm just wondering if,
We definitely go through more large.
yeah, I didn't know if,
would assume the
how much of a
larger
bath would we take in that if we did some kind of a buy one, get one on the small ones to try? I'm afraid that those are going to not be worth anything if we don't go through them sooner.
And then 12 we do buy one, get one, we'll be buying small too.
Right, but if we
We did
sit on
reduce
those,
the
then they're gonna, so I don't know what the
Yeah, I
answer
don't know
is.
what the shelf life is on them, whether they disintegrate, or I'm sure they do, that's what they're.
Yeah.
price. Dropped the price once to try to get them to sell,
Yeah,
and they did a little bit, but
so what's the minimum order?
100 cases,
100 cases?
yeah.
that's $65.50 a case, for $6,550. I tried to, I asked if we could do 50 and she said no. 100's the minimum.
Oh, man.
So when they, whatever committee started investigating this at the beginning, when we went to it, I'm presuming they really investigated pricing in terms of, is there another place with a different price, or?
Well, they lowered the price of the small.
Right, but as far as shopping
No,
around,
where
where,
to get them,
I have no idea,
cause it,
that was done, there was a committee and that was led by, I believe Michael Kudemarsh.
yeah,
And that was all done by them. I don't know if they looked to find other places. We used a place called Waste to Zero.
Wasn't Heather on that committee?
What?
Were you on that committee, Heather?
Were you on that committee?
I was, but I don't remember that part. It was a long time ago. I know that they're probably, like, the logo is, there's a charge for, I believe, I'm not, but when you go to a company, there's a initial logo charge.
So they have to create it. I know at one time we talked about going to stickers.
yeah,
So
That's
people
what I
would
was
buy
just
their
sitting here
bags like
thinking.
the regular people do. And, well, not that we're not regular people. And then you just have to put a sticker on the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Guilford, you don't get to laugh about that. I was just thinking the same thing, that, I mean, that works well for Westminster. I don't know if we should just compare those prices before we spend $6,500.
Because
And-
we were going in the hole.
Yeah, and how many do we have? I know that there's a sense of urgency here, but how many do we have? Do you think that I have a week's time to try and figure out the stickers, or is this like we gotta order these tomorrow?
I think there were a few months worth there, but I wouldn't go more than a week.
Okay.
I would get right on it.
All right, I will call Westminster tomorrow and find out where they get those from, and I'll try and get some pricing, and we will take it from there.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion on trash bags, other suggestions, ideas, anything we'd like to look at? Seeing none. Last, oh, I'm sorry, yes.
So the small bags hold 15, they're 15 gallon, and the large bags are 30?
33.
33.
Yeah.
That's too bad. I was just thinking you could sell 2 rolls for the price of, to equal a large bag. You know what I'm saying?
Right now, we're selling a small for $12.50 a roll.
Right.
So those 2 would be 25, so we'd have to reduce the price more on the small.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, if we run out of large, that's an option, just so
You
people
don't
have
have to
something.
reduce it, you could just sell 2 for 21. And still, if you only wanted 1, it was $12.50. If you wanted to get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my thought process, but let me get some information on the stickers, because if we go to the stickers, then that might be a time where we do double down on those to try and get rid of them. while we work to implement that other one. But let's get some pricing on that, and then I'll get back with you. Hopefully, tomorrow's Thursday, isn't it? Early next week. Okay? Great. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Last week, while we're still on the topic of trash, I did receive a call from Triple T. There is a local business that is putting a lot of recycling out. And last week they had to actually go back and empty their truck. There was 18 yards of cardboard put outside of a business. So Peter had reached out to find out if one, that was acceptable. What do we do about that? Is there anything that can be done about it? And I said that I would bring it here to see what everybody was thinking. Michael?
I don't know, wait a second.
Okay.
Still thinking.
I don't really know what can be done about that, if anything, but I mean, 18 yards of
Is it a
recycling.
residential program or is it town program?
What's that?
Is it a residential program or just a town program?
That I don't know.
So is that a regular occurrence in this place?
He said that that was excessive, but yes, it is a regular occurrence, just not to that extent. Yeah, but I don't, Michael had asked if it's a residential program or if it's just a town of Vernon program that would cover business, and I don't really know.
Kinda hard, we don't have zoning, so we don't have like commercial property that would designate that. But that is coming out of the taxpayers, cause that's what's paying for the recycling. So that's a lot
Yeah.
put onto all the taxpayers for one place, I think. Unless, I don't know, unless we figured out an additional fee for that kind of excessive amount. Or for businesses.
Yeah. Sandy, any ideas, thoughts? I don't really know what we.
Does our contract with Triple T differentiate between residential and commercial?
I'm not sure, I can go, I
I'm not
can look
either.
at it tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe we ought to research that.
Okay. So,
Chris?
yes,
So there may need to be a little discussion about whether it's intended for business or if it's intended for the town. And then what you guys might deem as what excessive may be. So maybe have some, have a vote done or have some guidelines put in place and then roll it out to the town and say, you know, because of certain businesses and or individuals using the town's pickup of recyclables, we've come up with the following guidelines as to what, you know, what we would deem regular or excessive, anything in the excessive category. The owner, whether residential or personal, would have to bring it down to the town themselves or to a Triple T themselves. Just a thought, I don't know.
okay,
But it does sound like that amount is excessive, and if it is, and if it is costing taxpayer like me, like I've gotta pay for a share of what that individual did, and, you know, Triple T was like, whoa. So maybe we need to put some guidelines in place to say, you know, if it's excessive, Triple T will not pick it up, and maybe that's something you wanna work out with them. Triple T will not pick it up, and you'll be responsible for bringing it down to Triple T yourself. Just a thought, I don't know.
Yeah, cause I mean, it could come to, if we say this is just residential recycling that the town is paying for, so that businesses need to make their own arrangements, which would therefore mean perhaps hiring Triple T themselves for any of their disposal, and that our recycling that's paid by the taxpayers is just for residential.
okay. Ken, thank you for your feedback.
I think I would go that route. I'm a business owner and I rent a dumpster from Triple T. And I certainly wouldn't expect to put a burden on the taxpayers of this town to help my business. So.
And that's what most businesses do, is they set up a private dumpster outside the back of their business and they'll take care of their own waste.
Exactly. So I don't know if we, as far as the program, that we really should have some guidelines to specify. This is a residential program. If you have a commercial or a business, you can't take advantage of this program.
Right. Yep. What's that?
He's being
Your thoughts on that, designating this a residential program versus a business program?
And how did they fit it all into the approved containers?
They can buy them.
You can use your own container.
It doesn't have to what, fit in the container.
Yeah.
Get enough
You can
cardboard
put
boxes.
broken down boxes on the ground next to your
Yeah.
container too, I believe.
Oh, okay. That makes
Yep.
sense.
No, I agree with that. Should look into it.
So start by reaching out with Triple T and see, is that where we want to start, and have them?
You could reach out to some other towns that have page to throw, see what they do too.
And
It's
check-
really
Check the
Right.
contract. Check the
check
contract.
the contract, and then we will.
Now, the town votes for the pay-as-you-throw, and the money for the recycling and that. Do you recall any language in that as to exactly who that's supposed to serve, or have we gotta make the changes?
The recycling, it just says townwide recycling.
Just says townwide recycling? And that wasn't something that was necessarily approved at town meeting that way, so we have to go that route again,
I don't,
do you think?
I think when they made the curbside recycling, they just called it, townwide recycling. They didn't specify residential, or they didn't break it up into business and residential, they just said townwide.
And that was the select board making that statement, okay, so we could change it.
Okay.
And honestly, different.
There you go.
Okay, so we'll wait to see what the contract says, and then we will put that on the next agenda. All right. Perfect. Next, we have Mr. Christiansen here for an update on mature bonds. Gordo, the floor is yours, and congratulations on your grandson's hunt last week.
Thanks. I appreciate that. He's having fun. Just to bring the town up to speed, the town had a couple of $100,000 bonds that have matured in the last few weeks. They were both corporate bonds. One was with the Bank of Nova Scotia. The other was a PepsiCo bond. I have checked with Cindy, and she is fine with reinvesting that $200,000, as we are not in need of that cash at this time. As we've been doing in the past several months, I'd like to propose that we take that $200,000 and once again buy another Federal Farm Credit Bank bond. To refresh your memory on what this is, the Federal Farm Credit Banks are part of the Farm Credit System, a cooperatively owned nationwide system of banks and associations that provide services to farmers, ranchers, and producers, or harvesters of aquatic products, rural homeowners, and agricultural and rural cooperatives. The coupon rate on this bond is 5.25%. The bond will mature on April 21st, 2028. It is non-callable, which means that the bond cannot be redeemed earlier than the maturity date, and it is a very solid bond. It has one of the highest ratings. S&P gives it a AA+. It pays its interest semi-annually, and if it pleases the board, I will go ahead and reinvest that $200,000 into this.
Jeff, any questions, comments for Gordy? Gene?
All set.
Michael? Sandy?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve Mr. Christiansen to reinvest the funds. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Mr. Christiansen, thank you for joining us this evening. You are all set, sir.
Thank you for having me. Have a good evening.
You
Thank
as well. Town office snow removal. So, I'll take the blame for it. In the absence of a town administrator and during that whole changeover, the snow removal contract that we hold with, what is it, Big Boys, Big Guys? It would have automatically renewed July 1. Which is fine, because he would like to continue to do it. However, his price would have been different had we given him the opportunity to come forward. I'm concerned that we're too far to put this out to bid, seeing as how we've already seen snow. It would be my suggestion that we try and do the remainder of this year with him, negotiate the price, and we would put that out to bid with the property management that would be going out. But in an effort to ensure the safety of our staff and residents here at this building, I think that we should try and work something out just for this year. Jeff?
I agree with what you're saying.
Gene?
So you're saying he wants an increase to continue?
Yeah, and off the top of my head, I don't know what last year's contract was.
I think it was 1,550.
I believe it was 238.
238, so this is,
358 or something like that.
$238 a month. Hold on, and let me try and pull this up here.
258 something.
So I think so that would have been for when we signed a contract with him in 17.
17, it was a
Correct.
3-year contract.
So I think he bid 1,550 for the season.
Right, it's
That
broke
seems-
down into monthly. He gets it
Okay.
starting, he gets paid each month, whether there's snow or not.
And that was something that I was a little confused. So you just answered my question with the answer I was hoping that was actually not the case.
Not to be.
I would like to bring a concern to you that there was a number of times I had to call and ask that someone come and shovel because the snow was getting too high. And I'll let Kevin has some information here.
And please correct me if this is wrong or out of date or something, but the latest edition I have is a 2015 Fire and Building Safety Code. And part of the code, says all portions of the means of egress, including outside stairs and fire escapes, shall be kept clear of any accumulation of snow and ice at all times that the building is occupied. Then it goes on to talk about multi-family dwellings and stuff like that. But there were a few times where I was here at the building where, 3, 4, 5 inches of snow, and again, please correct me if this is wrong. If that's in fact holding true, then the town has to watch their liability of not having adequate snow removal. And again, when I'm talking, that much snow out on the walkways and stuff like that.
There was a couple times I went to Gene and said, Gene, are we gonna close the building or what are we gonna do? Because there's too much snow out there and, we made the decision to call. There was a couple times in the mornings when I get there and I get there at 6. And by 7, no one had come yet and I would call his house and then he'd be like, he'd come up. In another half hour, 45 minutes, he'd come up. But by then, we're open to the public.
Did we ever get the whole insurance thing with that figured out?
Yeah. Only JJ can shovel.
Okay.
And that's another issue because he's having other people shovel who's not insured, and that's illegal. And he has been told he cannot do that because VLCT has informed me that if we allow that, it's just like we're breaking the law. Because we know he's got people that aren't insured. He can do it uninsured because it's his business, but he can't have his employees doing it. It's a Vermont law.
All right, I guess I'm gonna rescind my previous comment here then. Because the new desired price is also almost double. Well, not quite. It's a little less than double.
Yeah, I mean, and I know you can't predict, but there wasn't a lot of snow last year. I mean, there was a great chunks of time that there was no shoveling needed.
Yeah, because it would be $2,500 for the winter season if we stuck with him.
And the other thing that I would bring up is way back when the first safety code that I read stated that when the building was open, however, this newest edition that I have says when the building is occupied. So it used to be, you know, if the building was closed, but somebody came in to, you know, do work in their office, get caught up on something, but the building was closed, then, you know, they could get away with it. But now it just says if the building is occupied. So if somebody comes in, even though the building is locked during COVID, the building is locked, you know, the building is still occupied. So I think that, you know, that could run into an issue.
All right, so what other ideas and suggestions do we have then? Gene, we'll buy you a snowsuit and a snowblower.
Okay. Okay.
You want a pom-pom on your hat or just a plain one?
Pom-pom.
Pom-pom,
Sure.
okay, all right.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I got us over
Yep.
a barrel.
I mean, us being in this position right now is no fault of theirs. This is, like I said, I'll take the blame on this one. But we still have to figure it out. I mean, here we are in November, and just because this weekend's supposed to be beautiful does not mean next weekend will be.
Well, we haven't even budgeted for that increase.
Correct.
That's not in our budget.
What?
If he wants more for the snow
Oh,
removal,
yeah.
that's not,
That's not in the current budget.
the town did not vote to pay for that.
Chris, do we know who, the school is using?
The school uses their own maintenance, I believe, and then the town plows the parking lot.
Find a company that.
Yeah, I was just looking to springboard off of whoever they were using, and maybe they could give you a deal. But if, it's the same, it's the same.
Hard to find companies that shovel.
Yeah, I mean, that'll all fall into that property management thing, but, okay, well,
Why don't, I don't know, maybe we could just try to put a request within town. Put something on the Facebook page or whatever and see if anything shakes out.
what about the people that are plowing for the seniors? Are they insured, or how does that work? I'm just
That's
wondering.
very-
Jason's insured. Tommy's insured. Kyle's insured. The only one not insured is JJ.
Is there any reason that this board sees that we could not request from the 3 of the insured people that we are already utilizing? Could we see if they're interested in this at the, well, that doesn't change the fact that that contract automatically renewed.
Did it?
It comes, it can, there's wording in that.
There
contract
is, yeah, I mean,
That it,
So, I mean,
it comes up in 3
automatically-
years, there's wording that you can, either party can step back from it.
I mean, does the wording indicate that it renews, but at the same price or any other price? I mean, that doesn't sound right to me.
No, she said
I
that.
think it's supposed to
Said it
come
was
up
for 3 years.
comes up for renewal and then
Yeah,
come up with.
You gotta agree upon a price for a renewal, I would
Right.
think.
Yeah.
you know, the term it says 3 years, unless terminated earlier. Oh, it does say.
Yep.
Automatically renewed as long as all parties mutually agree upon the terms.
There you go.
Great.
We do not agree.
This contract may be terminated by either party with a 60-day written notice. Okay, so my thought is that we issue the 60-day written notice and we ask those 3 other people that are already servicing the town if that is something that they would be willing to do for us.
After the 60 days.
I wouldn't even get hung up on the 60 days, because I don't think it has to be that way. That's if, failure to perform,
You've got stuff to,
term of the contract shall be automatically renewed as long as all parties mutually agree upon the terms.
all right, and he does not agree either, so, okay. Jeff, your thoughts?
I like the idea of offering it to somebody else, and like I said, I wouldn't agree to renewal with whatever terms are offered at this point.
Yep.
I mean, we don't have a budget, and, you know, particularly if, people weren't satisfied with the job done last year.
I agree. Gene?
I agree with what Jeff is saying, and see if the, snow plowers would be interested.
Agreed?
Mhm.
Michael?
Agreed.
Cindy, is that something that you could write up, or I will get to it tomorrow? I don't know the proper way to put that out to those 3.
Yeah, I can work on it.
If you don't mind, that would be extremely helpful because I don't know what I'm writing. Okay, perfect. Thank you for helping with that. That's great. Any further discussion on the snow removal? Seeing none. Jean, the floor is yours for the giving tree, please.
Oh, okay. So, the group of people that volunteer from the library to do the giving tree, we've started meeting. And they're kind of putting the feelers out to assess the need, and so we are feeling that we really want to, do the giving tree again this year. It'll be a little bit challenging to, you know, we'll have to be letting people into the building and that, but I think we can manage it. So usually I have to come and ask permission to put the tree up in the lawn.
So, and then what? Somebody comes in and picks the name off from it, and is
Right.
there a way that that could be done? Or they actually get to look at it and see who they're picking? It's not done blindly, right?
It is done blindly. What they know is just exactly what they would be buying. And everything is like number coded, so they don't know who it's for.
Okay,
And then we have a date set where the gifts have to be back and wrapped because we have to get them to where they're going. But it involves, you know, they normally would be able to come in and look at the tree and see what's there, decide what they were interested in buying. They have to sign out with either the library or the clerk so we know where the tags are going.
okay.
And sometimes we do have to track them down. But, I mean, we have actually open buildings, so.
Is there a way to do that in a hybrid model as well? I mean, could we list everything that's on there so that they could actually pick off from social media as well?
We're kind of challenging all of our technology skills here.
The real reason for my question is looking at all of the numbers around us and realistically, how long until,
I know, we should have
so I don't wanna plan for that and then,
done it. Yeah.
June, what if you did it like Operation Christmas Child? You know, you say, I'm buying for 2 to 4 year old girl, you know, and a 5 to 6 year old boy, and you put that out on Facebook, the Vernon page that, you know, we have 2 to 4 year old girls, 2 year old girls or whatnot, and a list, and people can choose, and then contact you, and you can say, okay, we have enough for this one, we need more.
Yeah.
when do you usually start those?
Well, usually around Thanksgiving time, we're getting the tree up, we have to get referrals. And usually those referrals come in with, they can be fairly specific, about the needs. You know, it'd be great if we could just kind of do it outside the building, but, we really need to keep track of who has taken tags, because if they don't come back, we have to track them down, because that could be one kid in a family that nobody bought his gifts, you know? And because when that happens, we scurry at the end and try to make sure that there are gifts for everyone.
Well, I would, yeah, Kevin?
Could you, in the window of the foyer on the Governor Hunt side, could you make the tree as, I've seen the slips of paper, could you make the tree with the slips of paper saying, you know, 8-year-old boy, mittens or something like that? The people that come and check that out, then if they see that one and say, okay, I want to do that, call and leave a message for you at the library with their name and their phone number and which one they want to donate to. Then you could just pull that off and put their name on it, keep it at the library.
Yeah, I mean, that could possibly work. It's really challenging. We have the directions out, and yet every year we have tags that just are gone, and nobody signed them out, and I have fears of that.
So I make a motion that we allow Jean and the library to utilize the town office building for the giving tree in whatever capacity they see fit, given the current COVID conditions.
We'll work on that and trying to get the logistics to work.
Does that work for you? At least then
Yeah.
you've got permission and you can do what you need.
Yes, thank you.
Second,
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right.
I'll recuse myself, Sandy.
okay.
All right. Next, we are into some old business, and while we still have the advisory committee here, we are going to discuss the fire department budget. We, as a select board, put a proposed budget together, which we then gave to you guys, and I believe you've had some time to take a look at it. Alex, generally, this would be the final budget talk for the fire department. We're not gonna do that to you. We'll give you some time. It's usually the middle of December that we try and wrap them all up, but realistically, the report goes to print when? I mean,
By the end of January.
but yeah. So, I mean, we can buy some time to get you into January, but, certainly we're gonna wanna start taking some looks at this, but we don't wanna lock you up with this being the end of it tonight, so. Let me get over to that one. All right. Mr. Emery, the floor is yours, please.
Well, hearing what you just said, I'm not so sure that we should just take advantage of moving out a little bit longer. Because one of the disadvantages we have is not knowing the historical value of the past budgets and what it represents. However, we have the advantage of present chiefs that are involved deeply with equipment and pricing and like that. So we have some recommendations now, but I would also suggest that as the new chief reviews it a little bit deeper and is able to do that. So let me just go through what we have for suggested changes, and then we'll take it from there, and the committee's here to discuss that with you if you want. So the first line item that you had was the chief stipend, and we raised it, we included that back to its original 5,000. Do you want me to justify some of this, why we did it, or what we did, or are you good with?
I would imagine that the increase there is because Mr. Alex has his work cut out for him. And,
Well, yes, and that's an understatement. So we felt that should remain at that 5,000.
Okay.
The other thing that I'm just gonna skip down to the ones that we talked about. The physical line item is $500. We really didn't know what that was about. However, Chief Picasso was able to forward us information about firefighter physicals and how and what needs to be done annually. So what we saw on that, doing an average, it's an average of $300 to $500 per person. Now, I don't know if in the past, and I don't know if Cindy knows, if they had physicals and whether they just did it through their own insurance companies.
No, they did physicals when they first started on the department, and that was it.
So it's just one time?
That, at least that the town paid for.
Okay,
I don't know if they did the rest through their own insurance, or,
so given the $500, that would allow us to have one physical. So I think that at this point, we would, we'll come back to discuss that a little bit more. Now that we know that's what that was intended to do. The line item says new equipment fire department. It has been historically proposed at 13,000. We would suggest that it remains at 13,000.
Chief, if I may, the reason that we took the 2,000 away from that is because we put the 4,000 into the EMS line, which never existed before, so that would have taken some of the burden off from the fire department's budget.
Well, it would, but it won't where we are knowing what we need to do right now.
Gotcha.
I would think next year, that may be an accurate statement, but for this year, here's the sad news. If we don't put enough money into the budget now to keep that equipment up to date, we're gonna get way behind again, and then you're gonna be doing the same thing. You're gonna be reaching deep down to try to make it meet. And I anticipate future budgets will allow for parts and everything to take place. And however, reductions in budgets are almost negative, never happen. But there may be an opportunity for that to take place on that.
Okay.
The line item fuel oil, historically has been 8,000, last actual was 9,000. And we're okay with however the selectmen want to put into the budget for that, because we're gonna have to heat the fire station anyways. So what we did was we split your difference, assuming that we've spent 9,000, we made it $8,500. But we're okay with leaving it however you want, but. And the price of fuel oil may be coming down anyways. The price of gasoline dropped a little bit again. And the only thing that we don't know and we haven't quite figured it out is travel, training, conference, and travel and reimbursements.
Sure. The travel reimbursement is your gas card program, which Cindy was able to clarify that for me. Speaking of, Cindy actually went out and purchased all of the gas cards for everybody that was owed from so far this fiscal year. So she was able to go and do that. So we do have, I don't know, 20-something gas cards that will now be for Alex to hand out. But those are in my truck. I've got to get those too.
And those are for past,
Those, yes.
okay, not from,
Those are from July 1 until the suspension of the fire service.
okay. So the committee, along with the chief, will be looking at that whole system and to see if there's a better way for that to take place. We're looking at other departments around to see what they do for gas cards indoors, something like that. So I would suspect next year's budget, you will see a proposal from the chief that may include a whole different type of program. So at this point, we're gonna leave that, but we may come back and revisit that before it goes to print.
Okay.
So in total, what we did, we increased the budget by $4,500. So the bottom line was 107,160. But certainly we're not at a point where we're not open for discussion, and I think, knowing now some of the other stuff, we feel a little bit better that we're not quite as pushed as we thought we were.
Sure. Chief Bristol or Bacassi, if I may ask you, to send somebody to Fire 1, Fire 2, any of that, what are we looking at for a course cost per student if there's no grant funding? Zero. Okay.
Those courses are totally funded by the State Fire Academy.
Okay. Awesome. And that is not true for EMS side of it, is that correct? EMS is paying? I just want to make sure, I'm looking at these training budget lines, and I want to make sure that those are, given that we're going to have some new faces, some people that are going to need to either re-up, or are we in line with the 1,500 and 1,500?
Well, we think we are, because you created that new line item at 1,500.
Those were both there. Those ones we did not create. Those ones were there.
Yeah, training conference and rescue.
We did increase the fire department one by $1,000. That was only 500, and the EMS one is at 1,500.
Yeah, and I think you're okay right now. The courses that you will pay for are the NFA, the National Fire Academy, different courses people sign up for. However, at this stage of the game, the courses are going to be going through the chief and through a training officer and training committee. And we're hoping that for this period of time that we'll be able to do some of the in-house and take advantage of our neighbors to the east and the north and the south, and not necessarily the east, that's hard to get across that river, but maybe the west. But to get on their tails with some of their training.
Okay. And you feel that the 1,500 on the EMS side of it is acceptable as well?
We do.
Okay.
At least tonight.
At least tonight, gotcha. Michael, any questions for the committee on this?
Not right now.
Sandy?
Thank you.
Jean? Jeff?
Well,
Oh,
actually,
go
so
ahead.
did you actually increase the physicals line?
We did not. We didn't know how that worked. $500 isn't enough to do anything. So now that we know that it was intended to pay for the first physical, I think we need to look at that whole aspect and either make it zero or put an adequate amount of money in that for what we desire, what needs to be done.
Is that the way that it was set up, or that it was intended just for a one-time?
I know that's, since I've been here, that's the way it's been done, but I don't know if that was the intention.
Okay, all right.
NFPA 1,500 requires annual physicals and TFT fit masks and.
I was gonna
stuff
say, I
like
always
that,
had to
so,
do all of that, so I don't.
And there are different ways to do that. You know, there's different elements to get that done, so.
Okay.
So we'll investigate that and come back with something for you.
Sure, so if we were to, and certainly continue, Gene, but if we were to, put you on the middle of December, that's a month from now, is that enough time to revisit this, or do you guys want some more time? We can do the first meeting in January. You let us know when you wanna, and you can, we don't have to decide that now, but just something to think about, let us know when you wanna rediscuss that. Gene? Jeff, did you have anything?
Just a couple comments. I'd like to congratulate Alex on his appointment. Thank you for your service. I'd also like to thank everybody on the committee. On behalf of the residents of Vernon, we really appreciate all the help. And maybe it's a little bit premature, but since we're talking about money, I think it might be at some point a great idea to start thinking about donations and some kind of charitable work. I personally, I would feel good about donating some money to go towards equipment or training as a business owner. And so, like I said, it's a little premature. We're talking about money, but I would highly encourage that thought process going forward to start thinking about raising money for specific items and service.
And thank you for that comment. That has been a discussion. However, on our priority list, that one's still a few numbers down. But that's exactly correct. We thought too that a fundraising time might be valuable. We know that the Vernon residents are very generous, and they do like the fire department, and I think that we certainly will, that will be part of what we will be proposing, is something to help offset the cost of us getting started.
Cindy?
Does anyone know what happened to the money that was in the fire association budget?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
good.
still there.
Good.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure that somebody
and
knew
I have
about it.
actually not heard from him to set up a get together to go over that. He was supposed to get in touch with me the week after that first meeting.
Yeah, and I haven't either, although however, I know that they haven't done anything with it. The money is still there. It's a little complicated reading their bylaws and what can and can't happen with that money. The first meeting that the chairman was with us, he said that he has the check and it's just sitting there waiting for somehow to be disposed of or to do something with.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It wasn't a ton of money.
Right, but all of their fundraisers they did in the past few years, all the money went to the association.
Yep.
None of it came to the town, so I just wanted to make sure someone was aware of that.
Yeah, and that's, and there's a reason for that, because if it comes to the town, it goes to the past, at least when I know, it would have to be disposed of through the general fund. It can't be specifically earmarked to a town department.
Well, when it comes in, it's put into by department. And if they were raising money for a specific reason, if they having a fundraiser for a specific reason and they didn't use the money, they could ask to carry it over into the next year for their department.
So does that allow somebody to use the town as a tax write-off? Are you a 501c3? So people donating.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Like to
Yes.
have that tax write-off.
Yes.
And in the past, in other cases, by giving it to the town, it doesn't allow them to do that. But maybe in this case, that's something that should be certainly reviewed, because it may be easier for accountability to do it that way. So if it does offset that, then I think that might be something the committee certainly is interested in. And you and I can have more of that discussion. Thank you, Cindy.
Any other questions from the board for the advisory committee regarding budget? Anything for Mr. Dunkley? Well, he is still here. Seeing none, thank you all. Alex, let me know when you think a reasonable time to revisit this is, and we'll take care of that. Again, congratulations. I'm excited, man. Thank you. Carol?
might be wanted to think about town report and not go too much further than the middle of December of getting everything together, so that whoever does town report has time to get it into the computer and get it done.
Yes, thank you. Anything else? All right. We are all set with most of you except Mary Lynn, but
Did you want a COVID update from the folks, or are you all set? I don't have a lot prepared for that.
I had left it off because the last time it seemed like there wasn't much, and then of course numbers started changing, but we'll happily accept one at the next one.
Okay, good.
Awesome, thank you, Chief. The recreation is on.
Thank you, Beth.
He just needs a key too.
Tell him to take Emery's. He doesn't need it anymore. Keys. All right, the recreation final budget review is on here. However, I believe Seth is a little tied up in the woods this afternoon, so we'll give him a skate on that. We'll roll that over. Seniors final budget review. Okay, historians final budget review. What's that? Okay. It's all right. I was gonna try and find the seniors one real quick just to make sure there was nothing that we needed to.
It's just that one item for the activities, is the same as the last year.
Yeah, so we can just go ahead and call that finalized, right?
I think so.
Yeah. All right. We'll just go with that. And Cindy, did you get all of the numbers that David had spewed out tonight? Okay,
Yes, I did.
great. I thought this was gonna be a late night. It's not too
I
bad.
have a question. I have a question for you, Cindy,
Yes.
which I'll maybe come and see you to talk about it also, but the, minimum wage is increasing, right? Well, I know that I put, like, the library assistants onto the grid to get, well, now the minimum wage is more than they're getting on
We'll
the
have to
grid.
adjust, we'll have to adjust the grid.
The grid's gonna have to get
We'll have to
adjusted.
adjust that first one so that it works.
Okay, so then I'm gonna have to redo my budget
No,
again.
no more money.
Yeah, it's every month I have a trustee meeting and I go, okay, now there's a new budget. So that's
Heather.
gonna affect, like all the other departments, like the rec department.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I
Yeah,
wondered how that was
that really should be the only other one, right?
Yeah,
For that
yeah, I think so.
level of pay.
Unless, yeah, preschool will be the other one.
Heather, you had one person show up to look at the roof down there, is that correct?
One person, did they give a quote?
I have seen nothing. Have you seen a quote? No.
No.
I have seen nothing. I did, however, Dan Harris had said that he would like to have a chance to bid on it.
So this is what I got from the visit. That the roof basically is going to need to be re-screwed. It's loose, the screws are loosening up, the gaskets are deteriorating. So it's not secure. And so rather than just doing like one place, it probably should just be all gone through. And there might be some issues and that might come up that they wouldn't know until they got into it. And that maybe by my thought process is maybe even putting additional bracing in, there'd be more to screw too, cause right now it's like each bay, the joists that run this way are about 4 feet on center.
Well, there's gotta be strapping going across.
There is no strapping. None.
How is that possible? Because the sheet of metal is only 3 feet wide.
Because you have the rafters this way,
Yeah,
and then you have bracing this way,
okay, that's, all right, that's, that's what I was calling
and but
strapping.
it's only like every 4 feet. So that's what's holding, it's not strapped.
Well, that's what I'm referring
Oh,
to,
okay.
yeah,
Because
that's,
strapping to me is every,
yeah, that's what, yeah.
strapping to me would be like every 16.
Yeah,
On-
I mean,
on
I don't think that's
center,
required
yeah.
on that metal.
Well, yeah, because, you know, the other thought is, you keep putting more holes through the metal, and you're putting more holes in the metal, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And did he allude at all to what that might cost? Cause we've seen nothing.
No, he asked me, I said, well, you send it, to the select board, there was a email,
Mhm.
and, to let him know what you discovered, and go from there. I can, so let's go back to square one and just start calling people.
Or let's call him and find out if he has a quote for us.
Okay,
We'll start there. I don't know if anybody here opposes it, but Mr. Harris did reach out and say that he would be interested in it, but could not get to it prior to the deadline. However, he reached out prior to the deadline. I don't know if we'd reach back out to him and see if he's able to go down and look at it and give us a quote. I don't, we've gotta do something before winter gets here.
Will he be able to look at it in a timely manner now?
I'm
We
not,
did correspond before the deadline.
he did, it was the day before the deadline, which is why he wasn't able to get there. So, I mean, is anybody opposed to us reaching out to him and asking for one?
because technically we don't have any quotes.
We don't have any quotes.
Correct.
We don't have any quotes. We did try to reach out and get quotes.
Okay, do you want to ask him if
I
he would bid
will
on that?
ask him, would you like me to call anyone else?
Just see if he can come down and take a look at it. What I don't want is him to bid on the square boxes all at the same time, cause the money
Okay, you
isn't
want
there.
separate.
We'll have to put that into next year's, cause you're gonna have to ask for money for that.
Right, so for next year's budget, we know we have at least $1,500 to do those bays. And then I was looking at the assessment. I did receive an assessment, the townwide assessment, and there were some things, let me see, some repairs to the chimney flashing needed at this time, masonry ceiling. There was some rot at the left rear building in low trim on the left-hand side of the building. I have not looked at that, because I just have looked at the report recently. And I did notice some slates on the roof are a little bit, they're tilted at this time, so it just seems like there's some regular maintenance that's going to be needed. And the building is 180 years old, and that it's pretty important to keep up with it. So I think it's prudent to set aside money, so I would like the select board to consider to budget $3,500 to be prudent and to have money set aside for unexpected repairs and, for regular maintenance. And also, at one point last year, there was something about matching grants and having money put aside, or having money in a budget, so there would be money to match. I'm not sure if that's the correct technical term.
Is there grants available for what you guys are doing down there? I mean, has anybody looked at that? Is there?
I don't know, I know it's on the National Register, I have no experience in grant writing.
That would-
Yeah, the reason that money got put into budgets was because some grants, if you have not budgeted any money, you wouldn't qualify for the grant. You can't just come up with it because you're applying for a grant. It's gotta be shown that you were budgeting for it. So that's why that got started getting put into the different budgets. But being a historical building, there's got to be some grants to pursue. And my mind is going blank on one.
Well, I would just like to see some monies budgeted a little bit above what's going to happen, because we don't even know what the roof is going to cost at this point still.
Right.
Yeah, but that's a different budget, because that's gotta happen soon, right?
That's,
I would hope so.
Yeah, so I mean, that's gonna end up,
we gotta pay for that now.
yeah.
3-second search, the Vermont Advisory Council on Historic Preservation does 50/50 matching grants is for $20,000 for repairs to historical buildings.
Annex is not historical, that's the metal.
But your other building has that
But
problem, I'm saying.
the other building is.
It's 3 seconds, I
Yeah,
count one,
okay.
so,
And that you said is matching money?
Matching 20,000.
up to 20,000.
Up to 20.
Yeah.
So for all the other stuff in the other building, they can look into that.
Yeah, you'd have to have solid prices of the repairs.
They had it in there, they said with regular maintenance, it would last a long, I just remember, I think you quoted from the assessment that it would last quite a long time.
Cause it's been on there a long time.
How old is the building, do you think?
What, the annex?
It's gotta be.
25, 30.
I'm
It's gotta
thinking
be
20.
It's gotta be 20 to 30 years, I would think.
30 to 50,
That's what the life.
scanning seamless.
I don't think that's seamless, so.
No,
I think that's
not
just
same.
regular,
That's
and I
quarterly,
think that's
yeah.
25 to 30 year, I think. So that's kind of what I was wondering is, do we pay somebody to retighten screws and then replace metal roofing 2 years from now? Well, wait, that assessment actually said it was,
It was in good
Corrugated
condition.
metal roof is 60
Yeah.
years.
You could probably buy quite a bit of time, but just, you know, you figure that rubber gasket is gonna
yeah.
deteriorate. If you thought it was in decent shape, then maybe we could think about putting this in the capital,
Putting some what?
Putting this in the capital. You know, if it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be more than 10,000. You know, if we don't have to have it done immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could buy time with just having it, you know, rescrewed and whatever.
So this is what they say on the assessment, about the metal sheeting. They have a relatively long life, but other problems often lead to repairs or replacement, screws popping and wind damage. And there's a lot of wind down there. Periodic maintenance Says roof appears to be relatively new, of standard quality, and should give many years of relatively problem-free service.
So you're asking with the matching grant of $2,000, which is what most budgets have had put in, that would be a $4,000 increase that you're requesting today, correct?
I was just thinking a bottom line of 3,500, just to have,
For what, the matching grant?
4,000.
oh, it would be four,
What
She's including the
I was
matching grant
given,
in the building.
the bottom line.
with, that would, the 3,500 would include the installation repair.
No, I'm at, you had said that
Okay.
you were questioning
Oh.
the matching grant, which most budgets, most other departments, that's $2,000 that sits in their budget for the matching grant.
Okay.
So if we increase your building repairs and maintenance to 3,500, that's an additional 2 plus the 2, so you're asking for a $4,000 increase on the historian's budget.
Oh, I see, it's a $2,000, I,
this?
okay,
This is what we're talking about.
I mean, that's it doesn't have to be 2,000, but that's what it's been in most of the budgets.
yeah,
You're talking about increasing building repair and maintenance?
yes.
That's what she had asked to increase that to
I have it as 1,300 right now.
Yeah, and she
Right,
wants it up to
because we were
35.
talking about the
So that's-
installation.
But that's gonna be 4,200.
Right, and I was curious if that was a typo, the 13, or if that was supposed to be a 15. So
It's supposed to be a 15.
I was told 13
Okay.
when I was here, so that's what I put in.
Okay, all right, so, yeah,
But
so we're at $4,200 given that.
I just think that that's too low for some of the issues that are coming up, and that it would be prudent to have.
I'm just trying to make sure that I'm on the same page with you, that you're asking for a $4,000 increase in the historian's budget between a matching grant line and increasing the building and repair line.
So in other words, the 3,500, you were including the 2,000 for the matching grant in that,
Yeah, but that just has to sit there.
but so it needs a different line item.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, I didn't realize that.
So what I have is you're increasing building repair and maintenance to 3,500 and adding a matching grant of 2,000.
I believe that's what I'm trying to clarify.
For
I
a
believe
total
that's what
of
you're asking us for.
8,264.
So is that what you wanna do?
That seems excessive,
I would agree.
so, I would,
What if you were to increase your building repairs and maintenance, do you think it'll come to more than 2,000?
do you think it would come to more than 2,000?
And then have the 2,000 in your matching grant underneath it?
Then you can apply for that grant.
So if she doesn't get the grant, can she use the money for the job?
I don't think so, because that would be
No.
designated
No, for
specific
grant
for the
For the
grant.
grant.
Yeah, which, I mean, by rights, if there's grants out there, we should be finding them.
Right.
That, we should be working on that,
There's a whole
to
list of
offset.
historical grants.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, so we can put money there, but it's on you guys to find those grants and figure out what it is that we need. So,
Then we need help on writing grants.
Then we need.
It
and,
is.
and I understand that, but.
It's not I mean, it keeps saying that it's the Vernon's historical's budget, but it's not our budget, it's the select board's budget.
It's town building, I mean, it's not ours. Belongs to
Okay,
the
well,
town.
Okay, fine then.
Most rentals don't pay for electricity too.
Say that again?
Most rentals don't pay for your electricity either.
What's that?
I'm saying, you're saying it's the town's building, why are we paying for electricity then?
But the building belongs to.
Correct.
But you guys are
But you guys
using.
use it, so should we take electricity off then and we'll take care of the repairs?
I don't understand what you're saying.
So-
What point are you making?
So what do you want us to put down?
I would just like to have a prudent budget where repairs could be taken care of. And that I see that some repairs are going to be needed, perhaps the slate. The slate roof is,
Right, but here's, I mean, we could put $3,500 in there, but when we start talking about a slate roof, there goes your $3,500. There's no money left for other, so,
We're talking about maybe replacing a slate or two.
replacing a slate or two, regular maintenance of, not the whole roof, but having money set aside for regular maintenance, so we have money when stuff like the annex roof leaking.
what was the cost that we were given for building those few boxes in the beginning?
The 6 boxes, for 6,
hold
it
up the
was
insulation
$745.
$745, and you want a total of how many?
I would like to do all 10 total. So that would bring it up to, we'll say, I estimated it was like $124 a bay.
So $1,224.
So I
Roughly.
just, I rounded up to $1,500.
Okay.
Because that was probably given before the lumber prices.
That, yeah, lumber prices have got, I just don't
So
know.
if you had that at 1,500, now you're down to 2,000 in your building repairs and maintenance.
Right,
And
and so we have the annex roof that we'd hope that would be
That's
done this year.
yep, so that's not touching that 2,000.
Okay. There's some slate that are a little crooked, that are, I'm afraid they're loosening up.
Okay.
In the assessment, there was some rot noted,
Mm-hmm.
and if I can find, chimney flashing.
Okay, so what do we want to do here?
Lucinda, you were saying something about increasing building repair maintenance to 2,000,
And then putting in for 2,000.
and then putting in the 2,000 for the matching grant? That would bring the total to 6,764 for that whole thing, the whole budget.
But then if we did that, that leaves them
500.
500 after those are done. So then we're still in the same spot where you guys got to find grants. If there's $2,000 in there for matching grants, then and I understand that you guys aren't grant writers, and that's fine. But we would have to present some information of just, hey, we found these grants. Is this something that we can look into? If we could have some assistance that way, then maybe we could make something happen. It's a little bit more challenging right now in the absence of a town administrator.
Right.
But we have one coming on this week.
And we
I
do
was
have an
just trying to
interim.
plan for the future.
I get it. I'm just saying that if we do that and you don't get any grants, you have $500 left, so then your repairs still aren't getting done. If we put the 2,000 in there for a matching grant, then somebody has to find the grants so that we can hopefully obtain those to do the other repairs that you guys need done.
I think getting a list of grants would be easy enough to take and present to our new town administrator, because she's gonna write grants, right?
Yep.
I think that would be easy enough to do.
But
But I
we
see
can't,
the 3,500, we can't count on getting them.
right.
So
And we wouldn't be, I mean, those that matching money wouldn't be available until July 1, and we have no idea who's gonna be.
Right.
So my hesitation is that we're putting $2,000 in there that is locked up for one very specific thing, and if there's nobody here to make that happen, then you guys have $2,000 sitting there and no repairs happening.
What if you take matching grant out and just put 4,000 in building repair and maintenance?
But then that eliminates the possibility of getting it done under grant funds. I mean, that's it. I guess from where I'm sitting, it's like 6 to 1, half the other, but if,
I thought I didn't realize it needed to be in a separate fund, that you just needed to have monies in,
So you could access it.
yeah, I didn't realize it needed to be in a separate, that you just needed to show that you had monies available to match. So,
Yeah, you do, it has to be very designated.
okay.
So nobody else in the historians have any grant experience that could maybe, kind of get things kicked off?
If we knew, I would be willing to try it, but I don't even know what direction to go in. I don't know where to start. If you can help me get started,
Me?
yeah, do you write
I-
grants?
Mike just listed off a bunch of grants for you.
I have looked, and I know that some are very time oriented,
Oh, definitely.
the certain months.
yeah, I mean, we're asking for free money, so it's gotta
Right.
be oriented, yeah, or detail oriented, yeah.
But you gotta
You
know
have-
where to start. I
You
mean,
have to, but you don't even know what to ask for if you don't have any idea what you wanna fix and what it's gonna cost. So you need to kinda know what you're gonna ask for before you can just ask.
So you would have to get like an estimate on a job that you need to have done.
Right,
So you'd have to start, is that how you would start?
I would think that I'd need to know what I was gonna be asking for before I could go.
Right, it would be
looking to
like,
ask.
okay, we have this raw,
Right.
but it's not a huge, I would not think,
But like one of those ones that Mike said was up to $20,000, so that right there is telling you that there's probably small projects that they are gonna help with.
When I have to do grants for my program at the school, we have to give them exactly the piece of equipment we're looking for, why we want that piece of equipment, why that piece of equipment is going to last longer than this one that's half the price, and on and on and on.
We're already past the date. They're due Monday, October 5th, 2020 for 2021, so that's out of the picture anyways.
So what I was getting at is that they need quite a bit of detailed information, or your grant application goes to the bottom of the pile, and if there's
Right.
any money left at the end, you get the pennies that are still sitting there.
right, but I'm saying that I know there's going to be some sort of regular maintenance that's going to be needed to be done due to this assessment, and I was just wondering. I didn't realize it had to be separate. So
Okay,
it makes it different, it makes it a different, but I would just, also just would like to ask for a little bit more money in the building and repairs line item. Just to have some monies there to be able to say, oh, that slate fell off. It's going to be, $200, or, I don't know.
Or you get in there to replace that slate and you find that piece of wood underneath it gave up the ghost.
Right, or you need to replace 6 slate, or,
Well, what's the procedure for, I mean, if there was something on this building that needed to be done? I mean, this doesn't sound like rocket science. Regular maintenance on a building.
right,
That just hasn't been happening on this building.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I realize that.
and nobody is disputing the fact that you guys need more money to do your maintenance. The only thing I'm questioning is if there is free money on the table through grants, which I'll call free money, we all know it's not free. We should always be looking in that direction.
Absolutely.
And utilizing what we can from there before we utilize the money that the taxpayers graciously make available to us.
So, okay, when you're looking for a grant, Sandy or Jeannie or whoever knows how to do this stuff, from the time you start, let's say base the best case scenario, and you've got these 25 pages that you've got to fill out, and you can go through and get the information. I mean, what are you looking at? 6 months, a year?
Every one of them is different.
They've all got their own timelines.
So in the meantime, I mean, we're willing to try for grants, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, if something needs to be done, I mean, don't we do regular, I realize we have not done stuff on the town building, but normally, wouldn't there be money for regular maintenance?
I don't think a grant would cover regular maintenance.
Huh?
I don't think a grant would cover regular maintenance.
I can't believe
She
a
doesn't
grant
think a
would cover
grant-
regular maintenance.
Right.
If you're looking at just regular maintenance, you got a couple of tiles loose, you call up your tile tightener guy, and you say, come down and fix it.
Is that the
Get them,
technical
get you a
term,
couple of
Kevin?
tiles. Huh?
Technical term?
Yeah,
I understand.
and you get your tiles fixed.
Sure.
But if it's something that's gonna be outside of the, like when we had to do the roof of the North School,
That was in
you know,
capital plan,
that was under capital plan, well, actually it was carryover money,
right?
that we had to get that roof repaired.
Right.
So then that comes in under a whole new thing. But if you're talking just minor, we need lights replaced, you know, around the building, call up Don Pierre, they come down, they replace the lights.
Yeah, we
Send
have a
us a
line
bill.
item for that here.
Yeah, send us a bill, and under your building and maintenance budget lines, that's, you know, that money comes out of there.
There's a line item for that, it's called building repair and maintenance,
But when you're talking, you know,
but
a major project, then that gets into a whole new.
I think that's what we're trying to, first
So
of all,
ma-
remember, if you're going to go with a grant, the money's not available until July 1st of
That's right.
2021.
Well, none of this money is gonna be
Yeah,
available
it's not
until then.
available until next July.
Right.
So, but if you're talking about getting stuff done, regular stuff, then you wanna put that in your building repair and maintenance line item, so you have that money to.
Right.
So, if you're gonna do both, then, but it sounds to me like the roof work you're gonna have done this year. That we're in now, right?
Yeah,
We
don't
would
get
hope.
insulation.
Isn't that what your thought was?
We hope, yes, but we need someone to quote on it first.
What you've got right now for that is $500.
Right, and it could be more.
I understand that, but I'm saying, the money you're talking about now is not gonna, unless you wait to put the roof on in July.
Which, yeah. So maybe we should research what grants look like and what's available. But this year, budget extra just to have some money on hand and for maintenance.
What if you were to leave it with the 3,500, put in a matching grant, and at town meeting, if it's not gonna look like you're gonna get anything, reduce your budget. But when it comes up and they're looking at it and they say, whoa, how did this get to this increase? You can say, we've applied for this grant and this grant and this grant. And if you apply in the fall or in the spring, hopefully you'll know by fall if you're gonna get it.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be able to do that because those matching funds wouldn't be approved yet.
No, right.
So they wouldn't be able to go for a matching grant at that point.
But they could say, all right,
I mean, they could go for whatever grant they want as long as it's not matching.
Well, it depends on
When the grant
gets
deadline
back.
is, I mean, they can start the process.
the town should apply for a matching, have a matching grant funding, then this would all come under that.
Not sure if that's, oh, you know, what the grants are looking for, or if it's gotta be in your specific budget if you're pursuing a grant, I'm not sure. Because it did all get put in the different
Yeah, it did.
departments, and I thought that it was because it had to be in your budget.
But if
your
it's the,
area.
so if everything is the select board's budget, and these are just sub-budgets,
I don't
Can't
know.
use it from somebody else's budget.
But is there a reason that the town could not hold a matching grant line item that we could pick from in the event that,
It has to be specific to the department that you wanna get the grant for.
Yes, that's what I thought.
but if that money is there and that department came to the select board and said, can we use the $2,000 for this grant? That money is there, it's
I
allocated.
understand, but according to what I was told, and this may be wrong, I don't know, because this is what I was told, it had to be specific in the budget for a specific department, actually
Okay.
had to be in the budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's not fair to the taxpayers.
is much of anything fair to the taxpayers that happen? Okay, so whatever, 3,500 on building and repairs, $2,000 matching grant, and we will leave it up to town meeting. Is everybody all right with that?
Yes, thank you.
And now I need you to get with Mr. Harris
Mr. Harris,
and get us a quote. We will be here again on, oh God, November 17th. So it would be fantastic if we could have that by then. And hopefully we could get that taken care of for you. Any other questions on the historian's budget?
Thank you.
when do we present articles for town meeting? For,
What's that?
Somebody come in, budget it. Somebody come back in, budget.
Okay. When, if you could have that ready when you come back next, on the 17th with the quote from Mr. Harris, that would be awesome.
okay, I have it now. But
I would-
I'll give it to you then.
Yeah, I would prefer to wait. We
Okay.
didn't warn appropriately.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other discussion on any of that happy stuff? Seeing none. Public participation on non-agenda items only. Town administrator report. Upcoming meeting, November 17th is a regular meeting. November 18th is a budget meeting. And unless anybody objects, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.